Is Karl Franz any good? In game terms, this is, last I can recall, a highly controversial subject, with quite a few YouTubers insisting no, or at least they view him as far inferior to the other options. Yeah, well, I'm not about negativity. Let's take a look at how you can play Karl Franz and not suck. Or suck less. Or actually kick a lot of chaos around. There, better. Karl Franz's basic version takes 275 upkeep per turn. His health is 4,288 with 100 armor, and he never ever stoops to using a shield. Like all characters, he has a missile resistance of 15% to start with. Leadership is 80, so he doesn't break easily. Speed is 34 on foot, melee attack is 65 base, and even in his starting form he has magical attack with an attack interval a standard 4. He affects up to medium-sized targets with splash and damages a maximum of 8 entities, which is quite high. And this is one of those funny things. He was pegged at the start of the game as a duelist, and he's a blood crusher. Easily. Melee defense is 45 default, which is impressive enough, and perhaps the very high attack to defense ratio was why he was pegged a duelist in the first place. Possibly. Anyway, weapon strength is 470 default with 140 base and 330 armor piercing. That's already amazing. Charge bonus is 65, which tells you that charging him in is a very good idea. On a warhorse, base health rises up to 4900 on Ultra. Armor is 120 now. Speed is 78, with a charge speed of 108, and a charge bonus of 19. Everything else is unchanged aside from being large now and also the annoyances of trying to finish off opponents fleeing from him. But hey, that's normal. On Pegasus, health is 5216 base, armor is back to 100, speed is 105, and charge bonus is 19. The other stats are unchanged, and this, you should be aware, includes his splash damage. I'm glossing over a few things because Deathclaw is the actual focus from fairly early on in the campaign. Cost goes up to 475 per turn, health is 5836, armor is 100, speed is 90, charge speed is only 95. Melee attack is reduced to 56, remaining magical, and the maximum number of targets remains 8, but the splash target size is large now. Melee defense is 38, and weapon strength is 490, with base 145 and AP 345. That's all fine, but it's not a huge change. It's just that, like this, you have 2,500 mass, and inflicts fear and terror, along with the Blood Roar Hex, which reduces enemy leadership by 8 in a 35-meter radius. This is a constant effect. As a faction leader, the Heir of Sigmar gets plus 10 diplomatic relations with Empire factions, plus 25% prestige gained in battles, which is used in the Imperial Authority system, Lord Recruit rank plus 2, and campaign movement range plus 10% for all armies. The latter is his old historic buff, and look, it's plain, it's vanilla, and it's really good in the long run. As a general, Emperor grants the ability to replenish in neutral territory, grants upkeep minus 25% for greatswords and Reichsguard in his personal army, grants the Guardian ability to both types of units, and grants a charge bonus of plus 10 flat to his entire army. Forgive me, I haven't really played him in 3, I'm staring at the awesomeness of this. Also, brief explanation, Guardian is used by the likes of Skaven Chieftains and others, providing 15% physical resistance to a lord or hero within a 35-meter radius. Pretend embed your heroes and lords. It helps. In the top line are the automatically gained mounts, with the annoyance of being automatically mounted on the mounts. And Sigmar's Ward is a standard aid giving 10% bonus to missile resistance. Hold the Line is a buff in a 35-meter radius granting plus 4 leadership and plus 5 melee defense constantly, and that's very good for holding that darn line. Leader of Men grants minus 15% upkeep for Reichsguard and Greatswords in France's personal army, and increases his leadership or size by 50%. So this stacks with the Emperor effect for minus 40% upkeep cost, making both highly viable with France. But you don't have to pigeonhole yourself either, or try to doomstack them. Now, I want to go through the blue line first and proceed onward because this forms the basis of the general Empire lords going forward. Root Marcher is the old vanilla plus 5% to campaign movement range. Get it? Love it. Iron Disciplinarian adds up to plus 3 control per turn just for breathing in a given province over the end turn. Leader of Renown shaves up to 15% off recruitment cost. Reassuring Presence reduces all sources of attrition by up to 30% casualties. Fervent reduces corruption by up to 3 over the end turn just by one's presence. Irrepressible adds 30% to the Lord's own personal replenishment on the campaign map, increases the character's experience gain by 15%, and reduces wound recovery time by 1. Your immortal legendary Lord gets wounded. Lightning Strike increases enemy reinforcement time by up to 50%, and 3 pips enables the Lightning Strike tactic, leaving you fatigued but the enemy army unable to be reinforced. Or yours, coincidentally. Quartermaster reduces upkeep by up to 9%. Logistician raises army casualty replenishment by up to 6% bonus, and Alert raises the chance to intercept Kazrak and others using underways, etc. by 10%, and gives a plus 30% chance to detect ambush at 3 pips. Finally, Headhunter reduces upkeep by 8%, stacking with all other upkeep reduction, grants another plus 5% to campaign movement range, grants recruit rank plus 2 to units for that army, and grants plus 1 local recruitment capacity. Redline is something I cover for units themselves, but the middle skill, Rally, grants plus 16 leadership in a 35-meter radius, on top of your usual leadership aura, with a cooldown of 60 seconds. Stand Your Ground is the old Empire Golden skill that grants the same leadership buff plus 24 melee defense with a 90-second cooldown. It is now standard for the start of this line, Inspiring Presence, to grant a flat 75 experience per turn to all units in the army, and Encourage Aura in battle gets plus 5 for a total of plus 8. For the yellow line skills, and the same logic applies, let's go over this because I'd rather refer everyone to my cool, awesome Karl Franz video than my Empire Captain video, right? Right? Hard to Hit grants a simple plus 5 melee defense buff to the character. Good stuff. Devastating Charge, and for France these take 2 pips only, grants a maximum of plus 30 charge bonus, and remember he gets some pretty beefy charge bonus even on foot, let alone on any of his mats. Full plate armor adds up to 15 armor on top of what he starts with. Does he need it? You tell me. Scarred Veteran adds 15% hit points with 2 pips, and he definitely wants that, especially on Deathclaw with the expanded health pool. Deadly Blade adds 12 melee attack, maxed out, and that's something you want, especially before you mount Deathclaw and get an attack reduction, mild as it is. Foe Seeker is the same old, but more speed is more speed. Woundmaker adds up to 20% weapon strength, and that's something you badly want to maximize with France. I mean, he's a melee lord, so of course. On that note, Blade Master adds another plus 12 max to melee attack. Tenacity offers another 15% to hit points, so max of plus 24 melee attack up to plus 30% health. Got it. Blade Shield adds up to 12 melee defense, so that's plus 17 when you add the skill from the start of the line. Okay. Deadly Onslaught just adds 25% more damage and 60% more charge bonus. Use at appropriate moments to wreck. For his personal skill line, Best of the Empire grants another plus 1 to Lord Recruit rank and gives 20% bonus experience to units in his own army, so that'll stack with training heroes. Imperial Special Forces grants plus 8 melee attack to Reichsguard units, plus a plus 10 bonus versus large for Reichsguard, giving them a net plus 18 to strike enemy cavalry, and a mild bonus to damage. Really, it's the 2-hit number mixed in with the charge bonus that makes them highly competitive against normal cavalry. Heroic Knightly Band adds plus 1 to Empire Captain recruitment capacity and grants plus 4 to their recruit rank if recruited in the same province as the Emperor. Good stuff. Majestic Enforcer grants minus 10% upkeep and plus 1 recruit rank to his army. Of course this stacks with the blue line, if you think you need it. I don't know, maybe emphasize this if you confederate him. An Emperor's Journey grants plus 10% weapon strength and makes the Emperor unbreakable. That's fantastic. Now, with so much legacy from the first game, France has a number of quest battles and legendary items, but he starts with a fantastic Rune Fang that really helps him in the early battles. In fact, once you get the Beast Slayer quest done, you might want to use that Rune Fang, giving plus 40 physical resistance on France, but handing the Rune Fang he starts with to somebody else, even an Empire Captain in his own army. The Silver Seal reduces enemy hero success chance by 10%, reduces wound recovery time by 1, reduces local province corruption by 5, grants plus 5 melee defense, spell resistance 15%, and ward save, as in, you laugh off a portion of all damage, of 20%. That is awesome. And of course, when you are victorious in the final one, and unlock Galmaraz properly, forget those rune fangs. This grants plus 1 control to all provinces, plus 8 melee attack, enables armor sundering in melee, grants flat 75% bonus armor piercing damage, and gets plus 15% weapon strength when fighting Warriors of Chaos, Demons of Chaos, Dwarfs, and Norska. If you haven't noticed, there's a lot of those in Warhammer 3. Oh yeah, the active ability is a 39-second self-buff with 120-second cooldown, granting plus 16 bonus versus large and 50% bonus armor-piercing damage, which is most of what Franz does, especially with this weapon. You know, on top of armor sundering. Juicy. Very, very juicy. So after all that, how do you use Karl Franz? Early on, Karl is by far your foremost unit for demolishing an enemy general, but generics come pretty powerful out of the box, and Karl is actually pretty squishy compared to what he's going to be. You want to pick your spots and either use him largely to soften up blobs, or charge him in and then pull him out. More broadly, he is a sponge for buff magic, making the most of any kind of support. You need to be strategic with him. Later, when you have enough health, defensive boosting, and raw punishing damage to just solo with him at times, or on Deathclaw just crash into the main fight and use Terror and Blood Roar and whatever damage you can dish out to break the defense. But here's the thing. Getting him in too deep destroys his speed, and 2500 mass isn't as much as you'd like for pulling him back out. That's why you need to exercise some degree of caution, and you'd love to use him to pound isolated characters to mess them up. In the end, keep in mind that there are many sources of base damage. Karl is an armor-piercing menace. You might need to ignore the enemy lord and destroy a heavily armored menace that's ripping your army apart. Use him as not just a maker of problems, but a solver of problems posed by the enemy. Flight with this kind of speed and mass is freedom, but in the old days it was also a shackle. These days, don't be afraid of getting him on the ground, so long as you have any support available to screen for him so that he can get airborne again if necessary. You have lots of tools for that. Greatswords and Reichsguard are two of the ones that he loves. He's great at working with them, and it's in unison that the Empire works. In isolation, even the Emperor is but a man. At the head of his army, he brings the hammer of God. Know this difference and maximize your strengths. Take care, and have fun showing your enemies why Deathclaw has such a delightfully terrifying name.